This guy with dimples is not only extremely handsome but also very cruel. He also has another name as the man-eating monster Hannibal. Hannibal was born into a well-to-do family in Lithuania. He and his sister Misha grew up under the care of their parents. But in 1944, Lithuania was occupied and fell into war. To avoid being affected by the war between the two countries, his family moved to a suburban refuge. When the war ends, their family can return to normal life. But unexpectedly the war has come to their door. A group of German plane, after being shot down, hit a Soviet tank. Hannibal's parents died in the explosion. Two brothers hiding in the house fortunately escaped. They used their food reserves to get through the day. Not long after, the war was about to end. The German army was completely defeated, and the Soviet Union took over Lithuania. That day, some German deserters broke into the two brothers' wooden house. Little Hannibal intended to protect his sister, but in front of him were adults. Hannibal could not resist. After learning that the nearby road was blocked, the deserters had no choice but to stay in the house. They took advantage of the Hannibal brothers to cover up and deceive the patrols, thereby escaping capture. But then the food reserves in the house were exhausted. It was snowing heavily outside, and it was difficult to find food in the forest. Starving deserters saw the two brothers locked up. We either eat or die. 8 years later, the quiet Hannibal grew up in an orphanage. The manager here made his days not easy, and the memory of 8 years ago appeared continuously in his dream. Hannibal woke up countless times in nightmares shouting her sister's name, but the names of those killers had long since been forgotten. In order to live like a normal person, Hannibal escaped from the orphanage. After a difficult journey, he also found his only relative's house. Lady Murasaki was born in Japan. Her family in Hiroshima also died due to war. Her husband died a year ago. She understands the feeling of losing a loved one to Hannibal. Thanks to Miss Hannibal's devoted care, she gradually opened up. Not only did he learn kendo with her, the feelings between the two seemed to gradually change. That day, at the market, a butcher spoke rudely to Murasaki. Not only did he say rude things, but he also took liberties with her. Hannibal saw that. He didn't say anything and hit him with a hammer. Murasaki also is not a small woman, suddenly controlling the butcher's assistant. Then the police arrived. They were taken to the station. Due to his first offense, Hannibal was soon released. When he got home, he remembered the scene from 8 years ago. To prevent Murasaki from being bullied again, he wipes his sword, wearing a mask to feel the breath of a warrior. He had to make that butcher pay the price. The other butcher was out fishing. Hannibal on the grass played his guitar. When he got up, Hannibal asked him apologize to Murasaki, but he was holding a dagger madly threatening Hannibal. Hannibal saw how stupid he was, so he didn't waste words. 1 blade, 2 blades, 3 blades, 4 blades. The release of anger and pleasure when swinging the knife made Hannibal look at the sky and hope that the blue sky would also smile. When he got home that night, after Murasaki learned that Hannibal had become a murderer for her, her mood was complicated. She was touched but also a little scared to find the killer who killed the butcher. The police took Hannibal to the station to investigate, but Hannibal is mentally strong. As for the police interrogation, he was not afraid at all. Even the lying machine couldn't tell if he was telling the truth or not. Just like that, Hannibal got rid of suspicion. Murasaki later sold the manor and moved with Hannibal to Paris. Hannibal successfully entered the medical academy. He has an uncanny obsession with anatomy. To get a scholarship, he needs to spend a lot of time to prepare the body for anatomy. He often goes to the prison to receive the bodies of death row inmates. That day he happened to see a prisoner being interrogated. An injection can awaken the memories hidden in his head. Hannibal saw hope. After injecting himself, the memories of 8 years ago gradually appeared before his eyes. The deserters took the little sister for food. The wooden house they were hiding in was bombed by planes. A man holding everyone's name tag was buried in the house. The others fled without their whereabouts. Hannibal was rescued by Soviet troops and taken to an orphanage. To find the murderer of Hannibal's sister, he returned to his hometown. The soldiers that deserted that year changed their identities and made a living by different occupations. Among them is a guy who works in the tank crewman police department. Looking at the immigration report and seeing Hannibal's name, Tank felt uneasy for fear that everything would be revealed. So he followed Hannibal and discovered that he had been to the old house. After searching, he found the name tags of the deserters. At this moment, Tank appeared behind. Hannibal buried the surviving bones of his sister. He then started questioning Tank where the rest of the guys were. He tied the rope to the horse's back and pulled it slowly. Almost dead, Tank said the address of another soldier. Hannibal only replied with a whistle. When the police arrived, they found a grill next to it. It turned out that tank was turned into a barbecue. Hannibal came home and hugged Murasaki. From the smell of Hannibal, she understood everything. Hannibal didn't hide it either. He told her his revenge plan. He and Murasaki went to Patrice's shop. There were many birds singing in the cage in front of the door, attracting the two's attention. After sitting down, Hannibal realized that the boss here was Patrice. The bracelet on his daughter's arm belonged to his sister, Misha. Then he put his name tag on the little girl. Patrice sees the name tag and interprets it as a warning of revenge from Hannibal. He quickly reported the situation to Grutus, the leader of that year. Under Grutus' instructions, another deserter, Maiko, infiltrated Hannibal's school. Although he was very careful, he was still discovered by Hannibal. In a surprise attack, Maiko was knocked unconscious. When he regained consciousness, he was already submerged in a pool of water. After knowing the address of the leader, Grutus, Hannibal closed the lid. His constant revenge made Murasaki extremely worried. She advised him to stop, but he said he promised his sister to make them all bury together. Soon he found Grutus' mansion. While he was taking a shower, Hannibal entered with a gun. But this time he was too careless. Grutus' subordinates quickly rushed in and Hannibal was captured. Fortunately, he had planted a bomb before. That blew up the mansion. Hannibal took advantage of the chaos to escape. When he got home, he received a phone call saying that Murasaki had been kidnapped. Through the chirping of birds on the phone, Hannibal realized it was coming from Patrice Diner. After hanging up the phone, Hannibal wore the short sword, then go out. Not long after the kitchen lights were on, Patrice saw Hannibal appear. After questioning him, he learned the whereabouts of Murasaki. Since Patrice had a daughter, he wanted to give him a way out, but he was not appreciated. When he was about to take up the gun, Hannibal stabbed him to death. Then, following the address Patrice provided, Hannibal found a ship. Murasaki is locked inside. When he was about to rescue her, he was shot in the spine by a bullet. Grutus assumed it was all over. Unexpectedly, the short sword on his back saved Hannibal alive. Without hesitation, he slashed 2 blades down Grutus' legs, causing his tendons to rupture. He fell to the ground, still trying to pick up the gun from the ground to protest, but he couldn't. Hannibal inquired about the last soldier's address. When Hannibal was about to end, Grutus told the truth. That year, when he was in a coma, they gave him a piece of meat. Hearing this, Hannibal broke down. It's not enough to kill him simply. At this time, the captain suddenly appeared. Murasaki saw him, took a dagger and killed him. Then Murasaki advised him to stop. But Hannibal again refused. When Murasaki chose to leave, Hannibal told her he loves her. What is left in your heart for love? After that, she left the room. Hannibal also officially became a murder demon. By the time the police arrived, the boat had exploded. Murasaki looked at the lit night sky. She whispered goodbye. It wasn't long before the soldier finally met Hannibal. The movie ends here. Originally beautiful fireworks were covered by cruel war. Even with revenge, Hannibal could never forgive himself. Demons killing people are not scary. Scary is the heart of people. If you like, click follow.